Good morning, students. I, Anil Kumar Soy, your assistant teacher, is standing before you to teach you history today. Students, in the last class we studied about civics, a chapter from the civics section. But today we will study about the next chapter, that is the Delhi Sultanate. And the name of the chapter is Delhi Sultanate, chapter number 3. Students, you may see that the year in a bracket, the number of years or the time period from 1206 to 1526 CE. Common era is said, or maybe we can say it is written here. So students, why it is written there? Why the Delhi Sultanate belong below that particular time period is written? Because the Delhi Sultanate, the foundation of Delhi Sultanate started from the 12th century and ended near about the 16th century in 1526 AD. So, first of all, students, we'll try to understand the meaning of the word Sultanate. What do you mean by Sultanate? I have written here the meaning: a state or a country governed by a sultan. Students, once again I will repeat it. A state or a country governed by a sultan. It means you can say it is a kingdom, but here it differs because the name Sultan comes from a Muslim community. We can see the kings belonging to the Muslim community, Islamic leaders, we can say, they were known as the sultans. Okay, students, then from where the word sultanate came from? Students, the sultanate is a position with several historical meanings. Originally, it was an Arabic abstract noun. Means, students, the meaning of sultan or the word sultan has come is an Arabic word, and it means authority, power, or strength. So, by then only, likewise, the name Delhi Sultanate came from. Students, then we'll study about that how Delhi became an important center of power. Students, one more thing I am to tell you that prior to the 12th century, Delhi was not the capital of the subcontinent. Students, you know what is subcontinent? I have told you in the previous classes, in the previous class, in class 6 also. Due to the large or huge size, the vast country like our India, and which is spread from a corner to different corner, it is very huge. Therefore, it was very huge. Sorry, students, it was very huge. Therefore, it was known as the subcontinent. So, prior to the 12th century, Delhi was not the capital of the subcontinent. After the foundation of the Delhi Sultanate, it became a prominent place in the Indian history or in the Indian subcontinent. Students, Delhi first became the capital of a kingdom under the Tomara Rajputs. Students, so the Tomara Rajputs. So it became an important city only in the 12th century, students. Yes, it's very important. In the 12th century, before it didn't had any presence. We can say it was not so famous. Then, students, we'll study about the Tomara Rajputs. So who were the Rajputs? The Rajput dynasties, the Tomaras were a part of them, and Anangapala from 1130 to 1145 AD he ruled. Then Prithviraj Chauhan came. We have studied in the previous chapters that Prithviraj Chauhan III defeated Muhammad Ghori in a battle of Tarain. Then he was defeated once again by Muhammad Ghori. So, for almost 16 years after the second battle of Tarain, Delhi remained under Ghor. Okay, because the ruler of Ghor was Muhammad Ghori of Afghanistan. Soon after the death of Muhammad Ghori in 1206 AD, Amir Qutbuddin Aibak, one of his generals, who was given the charge by Muhammad Ghori to look after the Indian territories, captured or invaded by Muhammad Ghori, became the Sultan or the ruler of the Delhi. From that era, the rule of Turkish rulers started in Delhi. Then students, he was among the early Turkish rulers in the subcontinent. Students, then this marked the beginning of the slave dynasty. Students, the Turkish rulers who were the first rulers of the Delhi Sultanate, they are often known as the slave dynasty also. We'll read it in detail in next few minutes. Delhi gradually emerged as the capital of India. At the same time, it also emerged as a center of new civilization. The rulers of the new kingdom were called sultans, and the kingdom came to be known as the Delhi Sultanate. The sultans ruled the sultanate or the kingdom from 1206. This is what I have written here: 1206 to 1526 AD. Students, the most important thing was that the Delhi Sultanate was ruled under 5 major dynasties. That we will write here: 5 major dynasties. The first one was the slave dynasty, or it is also known as the Mamluk dynasty. Students, first of all, I will write here. The first one is the students, among the 5 dynasties that ruled over Delhi for over 320 years. The first 3 dynasties were quite important. The Mamluks. Students, I will also write the time period from 1206 to 1290. This was the time period from when they ruled the Mamluk or the slave dynasty, founded and consolidated the Sultanate. Then the next was the Khilji dynasty. What was, students? The Khiljis. The Khiljis. I don't have written the word dynasty, but you may have understood that. The Khiljis ruled from 1292. Friends, from after the Mamluk dynasty or the slave dynasty, the Khiljis came into power and they ruled from 1290 to 1320. Friends, Alauddin Khilji, you must have heard the name. He was one of the most important Sultan of the Khilji dynasty. Then they ruled for about 30 years. This enlarged the area of the Delhi Sultanate. They extended their territories and made important changes in the revenue and military administration. The Tughlaqs, the next were the Tughlaqs. The next were the Tughlaqs. They held the Delhi Sultanate between 1322 please have a look at the board. 1322 1412 AD. The Tughlaqs had made some back experiments. Within 40 years of the Tughlaq power, Tughlaq came into power. The Sultanate had started disintegrating Timur's invasion, that is on 1398 AD. Then subsequently their rule survived, but only in their name. Then students, after the fall of the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyids, students, the Sayyid dynasty from 1413 to 14. from 1413 to 1451. Then students, the two dynasties, and after that the Lodis, the last one of the Lodis. The last one of students was the Lodi dynasty, 1451 to the last date, 1526. Students, these were all about the different rulers of the Delhi Sultanate. So these two dynasties were very less important. They ruled over a sultanate that had already disintegrated into different parts. Regional kingdoms had come up and became main important. The Lodis lost power to the Mughal, and Babur captured Delhi by defeating the last Lodi ruler. Ibrahim Lodi was thus the last Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate. Students, this is the most important line that I will write here. Ibrahim Lodi Students, Ibrahim Lodi was the last Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate, and then we will study about all of them in detail. Students, among the 5 dynasties, we will read about the first dynasty, that is the Slave dynasty, or else it is also known as the Mamluk dynasty. Students, how the Slave dynasty began? First of all, I will tell you that the Slave dynasty mainly contained the Turkish rulers, and after the invasions of Muhammad Ghori, he appointed a general in India to look after the matters or affairs of the Indian territories. So he made Qutbuddin Aibak as the general, and after the death of Muhammad Ghori, he became the Sultan of Delhi. And students, then we will study about the Slave dynasty in detail. Then the expression slave dynasty. Students, slave, what do you mean by slave? In Hindi it is called gulam. If students, you know what is gulam means? They buy that people. In ancient times and in the medieval times, human beings were bought and they were done. They were bought for doing their duties. Whatever they want, the kings, the rulers, they did this type of works. Then it is used for the sultans who ruled for the from the 1206 AD to 1290 AD. Is the characterization appropriate? Why the name slave dynasty has been given? Is it appropriate? We'll study about it. The dynasty had rulers like Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish, and Balwan. Had once been slaves, but were liberated. Before they came to power. So no slave ascended the throne. They were the independent rulers. We can't call them as slaves. But the 6 other sultans who ruled during the period had never been enslaved. They lived and ruled as free men. Aibak, Iltutmish, and Balban did not descend from their predecessors. They were not related with each other also. Hence, it may not be called as a dynasty. Because students, dynasty means in the first to second chapter, I have told you that the rulers may belong to the same family and they are ruling a country. So they are called as a dynasty, members of the dynasty. But as they were not related with blood, they can't be called as dynasty. The first ruler, students, among the slave dynasty was Qutbuddin Aibak. Qutbuddin Aibak. The first ruler was he. He was the first Sultan of the Mamluk dynasty as well as the Delhi Sultan. Delhi Sultan. Friends, the first most important one was the first Sultan of Sultanate. Friends, the word here Sultanate refers to the Delhi Sultanate. Qutbuddin Aibak was the first Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate. He separated the Delhi Sultanate from Ghur, which was situated in Afghanistan, and made it an independent kingdom. After the death of Ghori, he established an independent kingdom. As a result, the new kingdom or independent Sultanate of Delhi came into existence, and he was separated from Ghur, a city in Afghanistan. So, the nobles. Who were the nobles? The nobles, Aibak faced many problems from his fellow nobles. Fellow means the nobles working with him. Why was it so? He was only one among the leading Ghurid slaves. He was one of the slaves and he was liberated. So he became the king of or the Sultan of Delhi Sultanate. They were almost equal to him. They thought that he was also a slave. I am also a slave. Then why can't I become the king? The different slaves, they had a different feeling. They had also been holding territories in other parts of Ghuri's empire. Aibak had already broken off relations with Ghur and Ghazni. Students, the two rulers, Mahmud of Ghazni and Mahmud Gharib, you must have studied. So, but he could not succeed against others who had lands in India. Qutbuddin Aibak constructed the first imperial mosque on the soil of Delhi and started constructing the Qutub Minar. Friends, if you have ever visited New Delhi, then you can see the Qutub Minar. So he started the construction of Qutub Minar. Then Iltutmish finished it. This is the famous monument in the city of Delhi. Students, some important sultans of the Muslim dynasty. I will write some names of the sultan. The first one is Aibak. Qutbuddin Aibak. He ruled from 1206 to 1210 CE. Then Iltutmish. Then Iltutmish ruled from 1211 to 1236. So and then third one. The third one was Razia Sultan. Then she ruled from 1236 to 1239. This was very short period because she was a woman. I will read it about it further. Then the last one was Balwan. And he ruled from 1266 to. So students, there is a gap between these two rulers, 1286. Then students, these were the four rulers of the slave dynasties from Aibak, Iltutmish, Razia and Balwan. Now we have studied about Aibak, then we will read about Iltutmish in the next few minutes. The second ruler in the Delhi Sultanate was the Iltutmish. Iltutmish ruled succeeded the throne of Delhi by defeating Aibak's son, and the Delhi Sultanate acquired the administrative power foundation. Then next was Iltutmish. So the Ghurid nobles were defiant. Iltutmish suppressed independent Ghurid nobles, and such as Ali Mardan Khan of Bengal and Bihar, and Kubacha of Multan and Punjab. He added Bengal, Bihar, and Punjab to his positions. So what did he do? Then he did ascended the thrones of Bengal and Punjab. With this, the frontiers of Delhi Sultanate reached the Indus in the west and Bengal in the east. Thus, he brought many areas under his control. So, we'll study about that. What was he all about? Iltutmish is considered as the real founder of the Delhi Sultanate because he gave the Sultanate, or what he gave, what was the different contributions of him, of Iltutmish to the Sultanate. The nobility or a ruling allied to assist the Sultan. I can say here the first point is the nobility. Students, they were here to assist the Sultan. The second one was the Ikta system, under which he did not pay his nobles in cash. Instead, he granted them revenue of land. The second one was the Ikta system. Students, this system is very popular in the medieval area because we'll study in Akbar reign also, in different Mughal emperors reign also, that the services rendered by the nobles or different ministers, they were given the revenue or land, a piece of land, not cash. Then last one is the tanga or currency for transacting business. The tanga became the standard currency for the Sultanate period. These two contributions have been succeeding the sultans to run the sultan's efficiency. The second one was the tanga of the currency. Students, invasions from Iltutmish saved the invasions of Iltutmish saved the Sultanate from the Mongol invaders. Diplomatically, the Mongol chief Chengiz Khan, a famous name, pursued a prince of a Central Asian kingdom and reached Punjab. The prince asked Iltutmish for shelter. Iltutmish politely refused to shelter him. This saved India from a Mongol attack because Chengiz Khan was an invader. He once asked for help to Iltutmish and he politely refused. Iltutmish also completed the construction of the Qutub Minar, which was started by Qutbuddin Aibak, a famous monument in India, and enlarged the Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque. Students, Qutbuddin started the construction of Qutub Minar, but Iltutmish completed it. It is mainly a complex of many monuments. There are some mosques also that is known as the Quwwat-ul-Islam. Thus, he completed the task which Aibak had left unfinished and provided a solid foundation to Sultanate. He nominated his daughter Razia as the next Sultan, and he did not find any of his sons worthy of his throne. Because students, apart from being a woman, she was capable or more capable from their brothers. Therefore, she was made the Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate. Next. The next one was Razia. Friends, next is Razia. Razia ruled for less than 4 years, between 1236 to 1239 CE. From 1236 to 1239, 4 years. Why, students? What was the reason? Being so capable, why she was denied to rule more than 4 years? What was the problem? She ruled for less than 4 years and she was the only Muslim women ruler of Delhi in the history of Delhi Sultanate or in any era or any kingdom. Razia's reign marked the beginning of a struggle for power between the king and the Turk nobles. Iltutmish had nominated Razia as his successor, but the nobles did not allow her to occupy the throne. Still, Razia captured the throne. As a sultan, she threw away her female attire and acted like a true monarch. But the nobles, especially the group of 40, Chilegani, so they did not accepted her as the successor of the throne. And the male nobility could not accept women as the ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Sultan Razia tried to create another group of nobles. In the meantime, the nobles conspired against her and Razia was killed. Students, she had succeeded because she was bold and wise but failed simply because she was a woman and determined to rule like a true monarch. So they never accepted Razia as the ruler of Delhi Sultanate. Then students, the nobles praised Razia's brother. What was the name? Nasruddin. Nasruddin Mahmud from 1246 to from 1246 to 1266. They placed him as the on the throne of Delhi Sultanate after her sister's death. Then Balban, an ex-slave and noble, emerged as the real ruler behind him. And finally, he himself became the Sultan in 1266 CE. With the rise of Balban as Sultan, the struggle for power between the king and the nobles came to an end. In this way, the nobility became more powerful, and the nobles became kingmakers, and they ruled the Sultan and finally occupied the throne in the face of Ghiyasuddin Balban. Students, he ruled from 1266 to 1286. So he was the last ruler of the slave dynasty. So he was one of the nobles from Chelagani, the group of 40 nobles who had weakened the position of the Sultan. But as a Sultan himself, Balban made great efforts to increase the prestige and power of the Sultan. He stood out as a champion of the true Turkish nobility. He excluded the Indian Muslims from all positions of power. However, he did not share power even with the Turkish nobility. Court, nobility are the two different points or subtopics in the topic Balban. That court maintained and magnificent. So Balban maintained a magnificent court to overawe the people of that kingdom. He introduced Sijda and Paibos. Then Sijda means prostration and Paibos means kissing the feet of the ruler, to demonstrate that the Sultan was far more superior to the nobles. They were to consider themselves as his equals. First one was Sijda, then the next one was the Paibos. And then what about the nobility? Balban finally broke the power of the Chelagani, that is the Turkish nobles, group of 40 nobles. He exalted the power and prestige of the monarchy. He administered justice with impartiality in order to win the confidence of the public. He appointed spies. Students, do you know spies? Spies means detective. In Hindi we can say jasus in every department. He organized a strong centralized army to suppress rebels and to fight the Mongols who were a threat to him. After Genghis Khan was refused by Iltutmish, he was very much threatened, we can say, or very much aware that the fact the Mongols will someday attack Delhi. For this purpose, he established a military department, Diwan-e-Arz. Students, Diwan-e-Arz. So this was the military department, Balban adopted a policy of blood and iron to establish law and order. He hunted the rebels just as a hunter chases and kills animals. He was very cruel, students, especially the rulers in the medieval period, they were very, very cruel. He established the colonies of Afghan soldiers in rebellious areas. Balban was one of the main architects of the Sultanate of Delhi, particularly of its form of government and institutions. He strengthened the Sultanate by strengthening the monarchy. He fought the Mongols and even sacrificed his son for the sake of the defense of the Sultan. Then students, we will move to the next Sultanate, that is the Khaljis. Students, it is also known as the Khilji. Sometimes some people pronounce it as Khilji. It started from 1290 to 1320. As I have told you, Alauddin Khilji was one of the most famous rulers in the Khilji dynasties. After the death of Balban, it led to the fresh disturbances among the nobility, and the Khaljis captured the power from the Mamluks. The new dynasty ruled for only 30 years. Students, you can see here from 1290 to 1320 means only 30 years, not many long years. Among the Khaljis, Alauddin Khalji was the most ambitious young man. He was one of the most famous rulers in the Indian history. He ruled for a period of 20 years. Under him, the Sultanate scaled new heights. He wanted to conquer the world and wanted to become like Alexander. Students, he was very, very ambitious, as I have told you. So, what about the nobles under the Khalji dynasty? How they were staying there? Alauddin Khilji won over the nobles and soldiers by distributing gold among them. Then he tried to control them. He appointed spies to watch their movements and imposed many restrictions upon them. He banned the use of wine, which is considered to be a cause of indiscipline. Then students, the next was the army. Next one was the army. That Alauddin raised a centralized standing army. He paid his soldiers salaries in cash, but not in revenue or land. This was totally different. This meant the abolition of the Iqta assignments. What was done by Balban, what was done by the previous rulers of the Delhi Sultanate. He introduced practice of branding, dag of horses, and maintained a descriptive of role, hulia of soldiers. The next was the market control. Next one was the market control. So, to meet the increased expenditure on the maintenance of a large army, he needed some markets. He needed more money. In the first place, Alauddin Khilji tried to reduce expenditure on salaries, and for this he regulated the markets. In a way, he introduced a kind of public distribution system, like the present day fair price shops. Students, you know PDS, in Odia or Hindi we can say quota shops where people get their ration, their rice, grains and kerosene, wheat. So that is called the fair price shops. Then students, what about the agrarian reforms? Means agricultural reforms. Agrarian here stands from the agricultural reforms. Alauddin undertook some agrarian measures too. He changed the method of revenue assessment. He did away with the intermediaries between the peasants and the states and collected revenue directly from the peasants. He raised revenue by demanding half of the produce of the state share. So, revenue collection was a major source of income for the kingdoms. So, he also collected revenue from the farmers also, from their produce, what they are producing. Then the next one topic will study about the conquest. Students, here conquest means what were the different means invades what he did. We're talking about Alauddin Khilji. He conquered new lands because he was very ambitious. He was very powerful also. The conquest served two purposes. First, the conquest within India were a step in the direction of his dream of conquering the world. He wanted to become Alexander. Secondly, the new conquest bought more lands under his control. Over more land ensured from income. He conquered Gujarat and Rajasthan. Students, the most important one was the Gujarat. Gujarat and Rajasthan, and including the important forts of the Ranthambore and Chittor. Students, these are famous stories also related to Alauddin Khilji. He could make significant victories in the south. He was to do so, but he ruled over an empire. Alauddin thus ruled over an empire almost as large as that of the Ashoka. Students, we know Ashoka was a great empire, one of the greatest empires, or emperor in the Indian history. Over the southern parts, Alauddin's rule was indirect, not directly. He left the lands under his control, conquered chiefs. He was not ruling the southern parts directly. He demanded huge amounts as tribute from the defeated chiefs. He shared the income of the region without shouldering any responsibility. Then Bernice Tariq Firuz Shahi furnishes information from the times of Balwan down to the reign of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Students, this was all about the Khilji dynasty, and the major ruler in the Khilji dynasty was Alauddin Khilji. We have read about his conquest, about his reforms, about the nobilities, about all the marketplaces or everything about his kingdom. Now we will move to the Tughlaqs. Then students, among these two dynasties which we have studied, which I have told you now, was the first one, as I have told you, the slave dynasty, second one is the Khaljis. In the next class, in the next part of the chapter Delhi Sultanate, we will study about the rest three dynasties. Students, the third one was the Tughlaqs, the Tughlaq dynasty, then it is the Sayyid dynasty, and the last one was the Lodi dynasty. As I have told you in the former time or few minutes ago, that Ibrahim Lodi was the last ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. So, among these two dynasties, let us discuss something that Alauddin Khilji was one of the most important, or I can say that most ambitious ruler in the Khilji dynasty. And among the slave dynasty, Iltutmish, one of the most famous rulers, but Razia Sultan made her impudence and tried to be a true monarch, but some forces like the nobilities, they told that the creation of God has not allowed in the dynasties to a women to rule the kingdom or a sultanate. So in these two dynasties we read about different types of rulers. Further we'll study about the Tughlaqs, and in Tughlaqs we'll study about Muhammad bin Tughlaq and all about that, then Lodis and Sayyids. So this was the first part of the Delhi Sultanate. So students, next we will study about the next dynasty in the next class. I hope you are enjoying this video. Try to refer the textbook. Try to go through the textbook thoroughly while watching this video, because unless and until you watch, you will not understand. So the reading the book, studying the book will make you understand. So for today, I am bidding goodbye to all of you. Thank you, students. Stay home, stay safe. Goodbye.